Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start with another I Know the Owner story. Prepare yourselves. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. That was the best grilled chicken I ever ate. All right, so a little background. This happened like 2 years ago. It was in the middle of winter. There was a crazy storm going on. Minus 25 Celsius and 15 centimeters of snow, maybe more. Anyway, my dad owns a restaurant, Lebanese restaurant to be exact, in Montreal. We're Lebanese, obviously, so we have a whole chicken as one of our items in the menu. It takes an hour to make on the grill, and it says that on the pamphlet. Call an hour in advance for the whole chicken. It comes with other stuff, too. Dad'll be D, and entitled lady will be EL. That day, my dad took us to eat at our restaurant. My brother, who works there, we all work there, asked if my dad can drop off the delivery on our way home since it was like 1 kilometer away from our house. This was also at night. My dad said okay, and we went. It was snowing like crazy. Some of the street lights stopped working due to the strong winds. Understandably, it's pretty hard to deliver in these weather conditions. Some cars were getting stuck in the snow. So in total, with the grilling of the chicken and the delivery, it took 15 minutes. The customer doesn't live too close either. All things considered, it was pretty fast. Anyway, as my dad was getting out of the car, he kept almost slipping due to some ice near the customer's building. He almost fell like 4 times. He finally arrives at the customer's apartment. He rings the doorbell, and she opens. He greets her, and she greets him back with attitude. He hands her the food. She tells him how they're late for the order, that she knows the owner, and that this is unacceptable. EL says, "This is unacceptable. I know the owner. Call him right away. I demand a discount." D replies, "Madam, that isn't necessary. There's no need to call anyone. We can resolve this simply." Again, my dad is the owner. D says, "How much do you want to pay?" The bill was like $30 with taxes and everything. EL replies, $15. D says, $15? Ma'am, listen, we weren't late for your order. It's very bad weather conditions, and the whole chicken itself takes an hour. I understand if you want to pay 22 or 25, but 15? My dad doesn't take crap from anyone. He doesn't care who it is. EL says, "Well then, call your boss." D says, "Give me that for a second." He gave her the food back at this point. "Listen here, I am the boss. Don't you ever call us or order from us again." Then he goes back to the car, and EL is yelling, "Monsieur, come back." My dad enters the car, and we go home. He explains what just happened, and my mom, little brother, and I laugh about him just taking the chicken and leaving, and how messed up people can be. We eat the chicken for dinner that night. It's the best chicken I ever ate. The lady still orders, but now she's more friendly and nice. I think she learned her lesson. I know the owner. Really? Because you don't look familiar to me. And our second story. I could buy your job. Unfortunately, part of my job requires me to be on the lookout for people stealing stuff. Over the years, I've gotten pretty good at picking up on body language, and the way people act is a clue to whether or not they're up to no good. A few days ago, as I was going to the bathroom, a lady was coming out. She seemed a little off, almost disoriented. She obviously wasn't one of our regular customers. She had trouble finding her way out of the stockroom area. On a hunch, I decided to check the wastebasket in the bathroom. Since I myself had changed the trash bags the night before, I knew they would be mostly empty. Sure enough, there was a freshly emptied 24-ounce beer at the bottom of the trash can. I grabbed the empty can and followed the lady from a distance out onto the sales floor. Sure enough, she eventually headed back to the beer section and took another 24-ounce beer, same brand, off the shelf. I kept my distance. She hadn't spotted me yet, but she held onto the can and headed for a different aisle. When this happens, I like to wait right at the top of the aisle for a second or two, just long enough for them to feel like no one's watching. Then I'll pop around the corner and usually catch them right as the item's going into their purse. Unfortunately, my timing was a little off on this one. She had the beer right near the opening of her purse, but as soon as she saw me, she stopped and ditched the beer on the shelf. I'd seen enough, however, to know she was definitely the one who drank the beer I found in the bathroom and was probably trying to steal a second one, so I confronted her. Me, "Excuse me, are you going to pay for the one you chugged in the bathroom?" Her, "I'm sorry, what?" They always play dumb at first. "I found this in the wastebasket in the bathroom after you left, and you just happened to grab another one of the same kind? And as soon as you saw me, you ditched it? What's up with that?" "I paid for that one." "You paid for the one you drank in the bathroom?" "Yes." "Do you have a receipt?" "No." Then how do I know you actually paid for it? We can go ask the cashier. I try to avoid taking these confrontations to the front of the store in case they turn ugly. I don't need our honest customers seeing a shouting and cussing match while they're checking out, but I was convinced this lady was bluffing, and I wanted to call her on it. To my surprise, one of the cashiers said that she had in fact bought the beer. I had to quickly change my approach since I had no actual evidence of her stealing anything. Well, ma'am, I apologize for accusing you of stealing that beer. But that's not the only issue here. You can't be consuming alcoholic beverages on store property. It's against the state liquor laws, and we could lose our liquor license if we allowed that to happen. Her. Whatever, you accused me of stealing when I wasn't even doing anything. Again, ma'am, that's not the issue anymore. You can't be drinking beers in our bathroom. You need to leave. At this point, she's becoming agitated, and I can tell that the alcohol is kicking in as she starts slurring her words. She's not really moving, and she still wants to argue with me about whether or not she was stealing. I try to explain to her that we're done talking and it's time to go, but she keeps taking a few steps, then stopping to argue some more. I start getting a little more aggressive and trying to get her out. You need to leave right now. I am effing leaving. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I do for a living? I don't really care. I probably make more money than you'll ever make working here. Do you know how much I make? I seriously don't care. I've asked you to leave several times. If you don't leave, I'll call police and have you removed for trespassing. F you! I don't give a crap about the police. I could buy your job. I could effing buy you. How much do you make in a year? I could pay that whole thing right now. Okay, you want to pay me a year's salary right now? I'll go ahead and take the year off. I really did say this. Whatever. F you! Finally, at this point, she leaves. I watch her in the parking lot to make sure she doesn't decide to come back for round two. A few minutes later, I'm telling the story to my coworker. It turns out that he had been following her around for about half an hour before she went into the bathroom with the beer. She'd picked up some meat items and was acting suspicious with them. When she realized he was following her, she ditched the meat items on the shelf and grabbed the beer. Shoplifters who know that they're being watched will often do this. They'll drop whatever they were trying to steal and pick up the nearest low-priced item and pay for it at the registers. I guess they feel like this somehow legitimizes their activity. In the case of this lady, I think in her mind she thought, well, I've paid for this beer, so I'll chug it real quick and grab another one. And if they accuse me of stealing the second one, I can say I've already paid for it. The funny thing is, if this lady had so much money that she could buy my job, why is she trying to steal packages of meat and 24-ounce beers? Kleptomania is a serious disease. Money has nothing to do with it. And our last story. But we have a contract. This happened between my good friend Alan and my former roommate Connor. Maybe they're real first names. Who can say for sure? Alan loves cars and Connor is a piece of work, to put it nicely. Connor never seemed to want for money. Pretty sure his family was able to take care of him whenever it was needed. They had known each other for years through school. Connor loved contracts for whatever reason. I'd go into the various crappy acts he committed, but a lot of them would be too identifiable. Suffice to say, my roommates and I were the victims of at least one felony committed by him after this happened. Alan had the chance to buy a used Supra, and Connor agreed to loan him the money, with a bit more loaned on top to cover other things, with the understanding that a contract would be written up detailing all the responsibilities for each of them. If Alan defaulted, then Connor could take the car. I'm not too familiar with the terms beyond that, but that's the general idea. Shortly after buying it, Alan finds out that the Supra has some major mechanical problems that were almost certainly covered up by the seller, but there's no real recourse for a private sale used vehicle here, so he's stuck with it and continues paying on the loan. Connor, seeing a chance to get himself a deal and thinking it might not be as hard to fix as Alan makes it out to be, offers to buy the car for a fraction of the original purchase price. Alan accepts if only he cannot be stuck spending even more money than he already has. The cost of the car purchase is applied to the outstanding loan, but any difference and extra remains to be paid. Cut ahead a few days, and Connor's found out it's not a cheap or easy fix, and even with the lower purchase price, it'll never be worth the total investment. He wants to reverse the sale and give the car back to Alan. At this point, Alan has no desire to balloon his debt back up and take on a car needing thousands of dollars in repairs, so he declines, saying it's sold and he's done with it. But then Connor points out that Alan has no record of selling the car to Connor, and Connor still has a contract that says Alan owes X dollars. If Alan won't take the car back, he'll simply add the debt back and take the contract to small claims court and compel payments if need be. But that gives Alan a great idea. I refuse to pay. I guess you'll just have to repossess the car. At that point, Connor would either need to acknowledge the car was sold and couldn't be repossessed to settle the loan. It's now his and the loan balance would reflect that exchange, or the car was never sold and was still viable collateral for repossession on default. The cherry on top? Since the loan was for more than the car purchase, and he'd gotten some money back from selling the car to Connor, he actually came out ahead. Good thing he wanted a contract. Never loan people money that you aren't prepared to lose. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.